it looks like we might be live right now. So welcome to Barbara Talks Business. I am Barbara Carr with Fuse Empire, and I have a very exciting guest today. I am with Chris Janota from Envoy Wealth Management, and we are going to be talking about a lot of fun stuff that people usually cringe at.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to make the topic of finances and retirement and that kind of stuff fun for you and enjoyable to listen to and learn about. So Chris, go ahead and say hi.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Barbara.
Oh, of course, my pleasure. All right, so let me give a quick introduction for my friend Chris here, and then we'll jump into some interview stuff. Chris Janota is the founder of Envoy Wealth Management LLC, where he is responsible for the firm's holistic wealth management and financial planning practices with tailored investment management. Chris finds it especially fulfilling to work with small business owners and their families. Chris earned an economics degree from Northern Illinois University. Outside of business, Chris is passionate about history and making sure that it is correctly preserved for the next generation. Chris is currently the vice president of the board of directors for the Park Forest, Illinois Historical Society. That's super cool. Coincidentally, this is the same board that Chris's grandfather, Ray, served on approximately 30 years ago. Okay, that in itself is an awesome topic piece. Chris resides now in Northwest Indiana. In his personal time, Chris enjoys reading books, cooking, watching baseball, studying history, of course, golfing, poorly as he says, and spending time with his wife, Megan. So Chris, I am so excited to have you here and share some of this stuff with my audience. And I'll just say to the audience real fast, if you're watching us live, we do answer questions in the live stream. So if you have a question for Chris, just let me know in the live stream. And if it is something that we can ask on the air, I will ask it. And if it is something that Chris will need to get back to you personally with, I will make sure that he reaches out to you. So with that being said, let's first start with Chris. On a personal note, you just shared that you love history and you sit on the board of the Historical Society in Park Forest. And now my first question was going to be, how did that interest come about? But obviously your grandfather served there too. So tell us a little bit about your passion of history. Like, what do you love most? And just give us some fun facts.
Well, sure. The reason I got into it, well, to be honest with you, it was kind of an accident. I didn't even know that 30 years ago, my grandfather served on this board. They had put out a request for volunteers, board members. They're just looking for new help, as we always are. Most nonprofits find themselves in that kind of boat. So I responded, and I always had an affinity for Park Forest because of what, my grandparents did there. And, my father grew up in the area. I was actually, they were Park Forest residents when I was born. So, technically I lived there for, let's call it 2 years. So when I volunteered, they said, oh, well, your grandfather was on this board 30 years ago. I was like, what? And I was just like, wow. I had no idea. So that was fun. And I mean, for the reason why I like history, it's just because, we want to learn from history. We don't always necessarily want to repeat history, but I kind of feel like history is, I don't want to say the answer key, but it at least is a good guide for us on how we need to act, what we need to do, to progress things into the future. So you can't move forward if you don't know what happened behind you. So
that's so true. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times we do repeat history because we didn't pay attention to what happened before. And here we're trying to recreate wheels that are already like, hey, if you just pay attention to what they went through and how they solved it, we'd get through it a lot faster.
You got it. Yep. Agreed. Yep.
Awesome. So Chris, let's go on a more professional note now. Explain to the audience what profession that you are in.
Okay, so I am a financial advisor, and that kind of is all encompassing, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. Basically, at the core of it, I am there the way I see it. I am there as an educator for folks because there are a lot of people who don't understand financials or they're intimidated by it. So, they'll just kind of ignore the topic altogether or, just avoid dealing with it. So it's my job to get with people who have questions on this stuff, who have needs, who are seeking solutions, come with them, give them the education that they need to learn what their options are. And then once they have that education, they'll be able to make a decision on how they should move forward. It's not my job to pick what they need to do to move forward. I'm just there to kind of give them the little the right way. And, and hopefully they benefit from that advice.
For sure. And so this is a two-part question next. Number one, how long have you been in this industry and what prompted you to get into something that most people cringe at?
Well, I'm just a glutton for punishment. No, that's not. I've been in financial services since about 2005. I started, briefly doing internships and things like that. And I was with a mortgage company briefly. I was with a large wire house here in the United States briefly as an intern. And the only thing I really learned about the wire house is that I had no desire to be in the wire house. So I knew very early on that I wanted to, if I was going to stay in the financial advisory space, I wanted to be an independent guy. And independence just means, I'm not beholden to any one company. There'll be insurance companies where all they do is sell their products with their name on it. That's not the case for me. I'm able to go to any company mostly that I need. Whatever my client's best solution is, I can probably make that happen for them. And that flexibility benefits them and me. So that's kind of, why I got into the business. Just for your second part, there are just so many people that, we've kind of touched on this already, that want to avoid this kind of stuff. And I've noticed that from an early age, I kind of saw both sides of the spectrum. I saw people with access to really great financial advice, and I saw friends and family with access to either no access to advice or access to bad advice. And I knew if I could step in and kind of bridge that gap and get more people from the bad side to the good side, then that was something I wanted to partake in.
Nice. I love that. Now, Chris, I know from, the times I have with you and even what your website has and all of that some of the services that your company offers are like financial services and retirement and estate planning, college and business planning, investment management, right? You guys do life insurance, long-term care needs analysis, all that good stuff. Yep. So is there one of those services that you feel like you guys maybe specialize in the most, or that you love the most, or that people should think about first? I know that was like a 3-part question, but go with it where you will.
All right. Well, I would say the one that I kind of focus on the most, it's kind of the goal that all planning folds into eventually, is retirement planning. Now, that could be for individuals, that could be for business owners, that could be for a business entity itself. There's all kinds of different ways to skin the proverbial cat, so to speak. But I feel like as you're planning things that are 20, 30 years away, all of that down the road is going to have an effect on your retirement. So it's kind of, that's A leads to B leads to C kind of thinking. Now, along those lines, where someone should get started, you mentioned the life insurance. Usually that's a pretty good place to start because, well, first of all, I haven't met any humans that live forever. If they're out there, I'd love to meet them. Please contact me immediately. And so we know we're all going to need that service one day, and it's also important to protect what you already have before we start going to, okay, well, I want to grow this, or I want to start saving for that, or, whatever. Let's take care of the house of cards now, and then we'll worry about growing the house of cards. So it's kind of, the life insurance provides a nice base level for a good, solid financial plan.
And that makes perfect sense. Now, Chris, one of the things I know from my own personal experience and, from talking with other human beings is that a lot of people feel uneducated and unprepared, both about their financial status and about retirement. So what advice do you have for somebody who might be sitting in that boat? Like, man, that's just a lot to take in. And I don't know how I feel about all that, or if I'll be ready when retirement comes.
Sure. Well, first of all, my first advice is, if it is intimidating, if you are, scared, or you have any kind of feelings about it, it's best to address them now than later. The problem isn't going to get any better if you wait 5 years. In fact, there's a very good chance it'll probably get much worse. I always kind of tell people that the secret is not timing the market, where you're trying to, everyone says, oh, for investments, you buy them low, you sell them high. Well, okay, yeah, at the crux of everything, that's true. But how many people are going to perfectly do that every single time, every single investment for their entire life? It's not going to happen. I don't even do it. And, it's there's probably one guy who can, and he's not sharing with us. So, just start early, find a financial advisor, whether it's me or, someone down the road, someone else, ask them your questions, get them addressed, work through the fears. I promise you, it's probably not as bad as you think it is. And even if it is, there's steps we can take to improve it, probably. So, just dive in, use the time you have, because in the long run, when you're 65 and maybe you're going to retire at that time, you will have wished you can go back in time and correct maybe one or two little things that made a big difference. We can make the dollars back. The dollars, may come through XYZ, but the time you will never get back. So please, do not waste the time, because that's more valuable than anything.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And that is a good point. In fact, I hope everybody took notes on that.
Time.
So, yeah, right. Time important.
Very.
So, Chris, do you find that there is one common mistake that individuals make when planning, or the lack of planning, their finances or retirement? Is there one thing that you continuously see and you're like, I wish they would just teach you guys this in school so that you wouldn't do this?
Well, first, I'll echo what I just said. Number one mistake is that they wait too long to either get advice or to start saving. You can balance out one with the other, but if you don't have either, we're starting kind of from a hole there. And then, the other thing I would say is that they'll guess. For instance, let's say you have a 401k plan at your job, for those who, work at a company, and they'll send you the menu and they'll be like, oh, here's the 30 funds that are available through this 401k. And most people are going to look at this piece of paper and go, I don't know what any of this means. Right. So they'll just leave the money either in cash, or they'll leave it in, whatever the company automatically recommends. Whether that's suitable for you or not, it might be too risky for you. It might not be risky enough for you. You don't know. You haven't talked with anyone about it, things like that. So if you just kind of go with the status quo, which a lot of people end up doing, sadly, that may or may not end up hurting you in the long run. And, it's hopefully work with folks to avoid that.
Yeah. So some of these lessons that we've got so far, for those of you who might be taking notes, start now, right? Yep. Talk to somebody now, or start planning right now. Don't wait. Yep. And don't just go with whatever everybody else is doing, because there is no one size fits all. You need to make sure that you're doing what's best for you and your family.
Correct. Because everyone has different goals. Everyone has different risk tolerances. what's good for your neighbor might not necessarily be right for you. So it's working with an advisor, or just getting the information you need, coming up with something customized that fits you, fits your goals, fits your temperaments. Hey, get that rolling for you, and you'll be in a pretty good spot probably.
Thank you. Now, Chris, I know the answer to this because I've already spoken to you before the podcast, but I think it's important for my guests to know, because this is something that people are afraid to ask, especially when you're talking to a guy about finances. And a lot of people are like, well, what's it cost? How much do you cost for me to talk to you? So go ahead and ease people's minds here and tell them, if they come and talk to you, what is the cost and how do you get paid?
Sure, absolutely. Well, this is, for me, I don't know how other advisors work. This is simply mine. But I believe, and Barbara, you probably saw this on my website, I believe talk is cheap. So I don't charge people to just come into my office or jump on the phone with me or jump on a Zoom like this and talk with me. Absolutely free to meet with me, to discuss whatever we need. And then later on, when we start actually doing some investing for folks, there's actually 3 different ways that a financial advisor, myself, would charge a client. There's the commissionable way. That is, you buy a couple shares of XYZ and I charge you a percentage for that transaction. That's probably that used to, 10 years ago, like that was the number one way for financial advisors to be compensated, through compensation. Lately, though, there's been a shift, that because commissions, people feel, are not really in the client's best interest. I guess I can agree with that. So more and more, the shift lately has gone toward fee-based compensation. That is, I charge you a flat percentage for the amount of assets you have with me. Usually that's about 1% for over the course of a year. And you get the advice, you get the investment management, all that kind of comes with it, all encompassed in one cute little package, right? And then the newest way, the third way, and I'm starting to see this take off, especially with millennials and the Gen Xers. We're so familiar these days with subscription-based models. Like, we'll buy our coffee through subscriptions. We'll do it with our streaming services or our music or whatever. So I've come up with a kind of scale for that as well, where, people can work with a financial advisor and they basically get a subscription to Chris. And so that, you can email me or call me whenever, when you have questions, and you get those taken care of. We can work on, budgeting, or, you have questions on your student loans or some debt you're carrying, or you want to know how to start saving for retirement, or planning for junior to go to college, or, just business owners can do it too, because, there's no shortage of what small business owners need to consult with. So, right. So, there's a couple different levels. They start as low as like $50 a month, which, is maybe 2-3 times what you're paying for your Netflix or whatever. So, right. If that helps you in the long run, be more successful with your goals or whatever, then, I'm happy to offer that.
Yeah, for sure. Because your Netflix subscription or your coffee subscription, I laugh because I actually do have a coffee subscription.
See?
But you're right. Like at the end of the day, yeah, coffee, it brings me joy for the time that I'm drinking it. But how is it impacting my future, or any of these things that I have a subscription for? But being able to have a subscription to Chris could impact my future, my children's future, my grandchildren's future, right? So it's worrying about the cost of that $50 a month or whatever plan that a person goes with. Looking long term at what is this going to do for the future, not just my future, but those that come after me, I think is important to consider. So that's right. Awesome that you're doing the fee-based model. I don't know that I've heard of that here in Northwest Indiana yet. So that might be one of the newer things.
I would happen to agree with you, because I did a little research on it before I was looking to institute it, which it's only, literally, I think early 2020 is when I first really brought this on. And you're right. I'm not seeing many other advisors in Northwest Indiana who offer that kind of structure. I'm sure they're out there, and they're very well maybe. It's still catching on. In 10 years, it's probably going to be pretty common, just like the fee-based and the commissions were 10 years ago. So
Yeah, for sure.
Again, happy to offer it. Just another way to get people, because so many people will think, oh, to work with a financial advisor, I need to have $100,000, or I need $1 million, or I need to have some chunk of money before some financial advisor will want to work with me. And that's not the case. I'm very adamant about making sure that everyone has access to quality financial advice. If you have $100 in your bank account or $100 million in your bank account, both of those individuals need financial advice. Yep. So, I don't want people to sacrifice their future or, have fear of talking to someone like myself just because, they're not rich. You don't need to be, it's just, you're included in that too.
Awesome. I'm glad that you added that in there, because that was one of my next questions. So Chris, I think you know this already, but most of my followers, my audience, are business owners themselves. It's the people I love to serve. It's the people who seem to be, attracted to my trainings and stuff like that. Yeah. And so knowing that, what is the main thing that you would say to a business owner who's watching this right now?
So what I would say to business owners, and what I do say to the business owners, is basically that, I know what you're going through, because I'm a small business owner myself. And Barbara, you're right there with us, everyone. So many people these days, and especially now that we're out of 2020, even though first month of 2021 kind of feels the same way, but leaving that aside, so many business owners are trying to do so much more, but with less. Not saying that they're pulling back, but just that, they want to be smarter about their dollars. Mm-hmm. They want to be protecting their business. They want to be protecting themselves. They want to be taking good care of their employees. But, maybe there's not a ton of dollars around to be working with stuff like that. That's fine. There are still ways where we can help you, your business, help you take care of your employees through, whether it's retirement plans, which helps maybe you defer some taxes, or to help you put some money away for your own retirement when maybe one day you don't want to be doing this anymore. Maybe it's adding a 529 college savings plan to your benefits package for your employees. Most business owners thinks that sounds expensive. It's actually can be done at no cost to the business owner. You just add that on, and through payroll deduction, they can start saving for their kids' education. So, just like stuff like that. Of course, there's group health we can look at. There's disability insurance for you and your employees. There's so many different things where, we can kind of touch base on. I'm just scratching the surface here, for our intents and purposes. Mm-hmm. But there is a lot to do. I know business owners have a lot to juggle. And a lot of them, they're just like everyone else. They don't know all this stuff either, nor do they have time or the desire to. They want to focus on their business, which is where their efforts and time should be spent. So you work with someone like me to come in and help you with the other stuff so that you handle your end of the business. I help advise you on what you and your business need to be doing. And, you have that nice meet in the middle.
Of course. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Quick question, and I don't know the answer to this yet. Sure. I know that in some industries like real estate and law and stuff like that, you have to be licensed in each state that you do business in. I know that most of my people are here in Indiana and Illinois, but I have some spread out throughout the country and even a couple in other countries, which is super exciting. I've gone international finally. So how does that work with what you do? Are you able to help somebody no matter where they are?
Yes. as long as I'm licensed in those states too.
Okay.
So obviously I'm licensed here in Indiana and Illinois. I started in Illinois, and as you know, I transplanted here to Indiana about coming up on 6 years ago now. So, and then like you, I have clients kind of splattered all over the country as well. Coast to coast, California, both Carolinas, Missouri, a couple of Colorado. So if there was someone who wanted to work with me who's in a state that I'm not licensed in, I would have to get licensed in their state of residence first, and then I could help them. But
Okay.
absolutely possible. International, not so much. That one would,
Okay.
I'd have to stay, my licenses end outside of the United States borders. But
Okay. Good
but
to
anyone
know.
in the US, I can either help you or help you very soon.
Okay. And so, so I just want to put one more thing out there for the audience. If
Sure.
you're watching this and you have any questions for Chris, you only have a few minutes left to ask them. I am looking at both the Facebook feed and the YouTube feed right now. If you are watching and you have a question, put it out there. But for those of you who maybe aren't watching it live and you watch it as a replay, or those who maybe don't want to ask your question in front of other people, you want to talk to Chris personally, I'm going to get Chris's contact information for you right now. So Chris, go ahead and share with us all the ways that people can reach you.
Wow. Okay. Ready for the laundry list?
Yes.
You can give me a call at 219-627-1094. You can email me, Chris at envoywm.com. So CHRIS at ENVOYWM for wealthmanagement.com. There's a fax number. I don't think people are going to be using that one too much. And then I would encourage anyone that if they want to kind of see what I'm up to and, learn some stuff, I'm always posting educational material on social medias. So Envoy Wealth Management on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And then I have 2 pages on LinkedIn. My personal page is just Chris Janota. And then there's also an Envoy Wealth Management page on LinkedIn as well. So any of those will get you in contact with me, and feel free to use them.
Awesome. And then Chris, what is your website address so that people can check out the website as well?
The website is envoywealthmanagement.com.
Very easy. All right. So
Yep.
I'm going to take one more look and see if we have any questions. And while I do that, Chris, is there anything we didn't discuss that you're like, you know what, I don't want to jump off here without people knowing this?
And the only thing I can think of is, a lot of people think that they have to meet with me in person, that kind of deal. And while up until about a year ago, that was the main way, I have made some adaptations where we can do meetings like this. Like if you were a client of mine right now, we could be having a meeting here on Zoom. If people are comfortable doing that, they want to stay socially distanced with everything still going on in the world today, more than happy to meet with folks on Zoom. Again, there's no charge for just talking to me. I encourage that. They can go go to envoywealthmanagement.com. There's a schedule a meeting button at the top. Go on in, schedule yourself a 30-minute consultation, and get the ball rolling for yourself. That's about it.
Awesome. Well, at this point, it doesn't look like there are any questions on here. So I'm assuming people will be reaching out to you individually.
Sure.
And I know that there was one other thing that I wanted to mention. Let me find my note here. So I have a note here that Chris specializes in helping small business owners maximize benefits for themselves and their employees. So that's the message I want you guys to hear as we leave this call, is that whether you're an individual, you have a family, you have a business, whatever it is that you have, Chris is able to help you with your financial planning for all the areas we discussed today. And it does not hurt or cost you anything to just reach out to him and see where he would guide you. So Chris, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to continuing to see where 2021 takes us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate the opportunity.
Have a great day. Bye.